My son looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Mom, I need you to sign this. I already sold your house. Not I'm thinking about selling it. Not I want your opinion, Mom. But I already sold it. The house my husband and I built with every penny we saved. The house where I gave birth to him, raised him, sent him off to college. The house that holds my entire life in this country. And he dared to sell it behind my back." That was the moment I understood something painful. My son wasn't just making a mistake. He was betraying me. But there was one thing he didn't know. Months before this happened, I had already felt something was wrong. I quietly gathered every little clue. I consulted an attorney, and I signed one document. A document that would blow up his entire plan right in front of him on the very day of closing. If you're watching this video, stay with me until the end. Because this isn't just a story about a greedy son. This is the story of a mother who exposed the truth when her own child tried to make her homeless. The timeline of a betrayal. To understand this, you need to see the progression. Years ago, my husband passed away. I continued living alone in our suburban 2-story home. Years ago, my son Ethan got married and moved out. A year ago, he began complaining about debt and financial pressure, constantly borrowing money. Months ago, he started saying, "Mom, maybe you should sell the house and live closer to us." Months ago, I found strange real estate documents in the trash bin. Months ago, Ethan talked non-stop about the real estate boom, golden opportunities, and not letting the house lose value. Weeks ago, a stranger knocked on my door asking, "Is this house the one listed for sale?" Today, Ethan confessed he had already signed a sales contract for my house, found a buyer, and taken the deposit. And now he needed my signature to finalize the deal. But what he never imagined was that I had quietly transferred the house into a living trust long before this day. And my son, without realizing it, had already committed a crime. My name is Margaret Collins, and I'm 28 years old. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Oregon, in a pale blue 2-story house with a white wooden fence and an old maple tree standing guard in the front yard. This house isn't just property. It's 28 years of marriage, 28 years of single motherhood, and 28 years of widowhood, lived in silence. My husband David died of lung cancer. We finished paying off the mortgage exactly 6 months before he passed. I still remember the day the letter came. Mortgage paid in full. David hugged me and said, "See? No matter what happens, you and Ethan will always have a place that's safe." Ethan, our son, was Jaime Ba at the time, fresh out of college, just starting his career. He patted his father's shoulder. "He'll take care of Mom. Don't worry." And I believed him, more than he will ever know. Years later, Ethan got married to Madison, a fast-talking brunette who worked in marketing. They moved into an apartment near downtown. I was happy for them. I thought, good, my son has his own life now. Maybe I could finally rest a little. They came for Sunday dinners often. Madison always talked about money bonuses, campaigns, targets, deals. One evening she said, in that presentation voice of hers, "Real estate is gold right now, Mom Margaret. Your house would sell for 4 times what you paid." I laughed politely. "Well, I'm not planning to sell." She glanced at Ethan, then back at me, smiling. Of course, just saying, leaving it sitting is such a waste." Something about that sentence bothered me. But I let it go. Young people talk about money. That's normal. Then inflation hit. Ethan began complaining more. "Mom, we're short this month. Can you lend us Ty, come? I'll pay you back next month." I didn't hesitate. I took the money from my savings. The next month, he didn't pay it back. He borrowed again. "Mom, I swear this is the last time. It wasn't. By the end of the year, I had given him Moihai, no receipts, no paperwork, no questions, because he is my son. Then one Sunday he showed up alone. No Madison. He pushed his food around the plate, barely eating. I asked, "Where's Madison?" He sighed, "She's working late." And I lost my bonus. The house, the car, student loans, everything is piling up. My heart hurt for him, but I am not a printing machine. I cannot fix every problem with money. He looked around the house, then said, "Mom, have you ever thought about selling this place?" I froze. Selling? My house? He shrugged. "Yeah, it's too big for you alone. You could buy a smaller condo, put the extra money in the bank. No more repairs, no more lawn care, no roof issues, no plumbing." He sounded logical, financial, perfectly reasonable on paper. But my heart said no. "Ethan, your father built this house for our family. I'm not leaving." He fell silent, but something in his eyes had changed. From that day on, every visit sounded like a gentle push. "Mom, you slipped twice. Stairs are dangerous. The neighbors across the street just got robbed. This place isn't safe for an older woman alone. If something happened to you, we wouldn't know in time." Every time I answered, "I'm fine, really." But inside, I started to worry. Not about falling, not about robbers. I was afraid of something else. That one day, my son would make decisions about my life without asking me at all. Then one evening, while pulling something from the fridge, a paper slipped out of the recycling bin. A sheet with a real estate logo. I picked it up. In the corner it read, "Listing agreement, Ba Maple Street. Ba Maple Street." My address. My name was printed next to seller. The signature was mine. Except I had never signed it. My heart dropped. I sat down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking. No, it couldn't be. But Ethan had a key. He knew where I kept important documents. A terrible thought flashed through my mind. My son forged my signature. That night, for the first time in years, I locked every drawer, I locked the safe, and I locked something else, my heart. I didn't confront Ethan right away. I wanted to be absolutely sure. In America, once something involves the law, you need proof, every step documented. The next morning, I went to my bank, the same small branch where I've kept my savings for years. I spoke to Rachel, a teller who knows me well. I asked quietly, "Could you check if there have been any unusual withdrawals, large transfers, anything suspicious?" Rachel looked up my account. She shook her head. Everything was normal. Good. At least the little savings I had were still safe. But the house? That was another story. I went home, opened my laptop, and typed my address into Zillow. Ba Maple Street. The page loaded. My heart stopped. Right under the photo of my home, my pale blue house, my maple tree, my white fence were the words, "Pending under contract." My chest tightened. Below it was the description, "Charming bone bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood. Longtime owner, move-in ready." Longtime owner. Yes, that's me. But I had never agreed to sell anything. I scrolled down. The listing agent's name appeared. Mark Jenkins, Keller, Associates. My hands trembling, I wrote down the number and called. He picked up immediately. "Hello, this is Mark," I said, as calmly as I could. "This is the owner of Ba Maple Street." His voice brightened. "Oh, Mrs. Collins. I'm actually preparing the closing documents right now. Everything is moving smoothly. My stomach twisted. Closing? When exactly? Next Friday. You and your son will meet the buyers at the title company. Their financing has already been approved. I took a deep breath. Mr. Jenkins, have you ever met me in person? A pause. Well, I met your son. He said you authorized him. And the contract has your signature. I have never signed any contract. I said every word slowly, clearly. Silence. Long, heavy silence. I continued. Can you email me the signed agreement? Yes, I'll send it right now. 30 seconds later, the email arrived. I opened the PDF. My hands were sweating. I scrolled to the last page, and there it was. My name, my signature, perfectly forged. But there was a problem. The date on the signature was the exact day I was in the hospital with a broken arm. I remember that day clearly. I couldn't hold a pen, let alone sign a legal document. My eyes blurred with tears. There was no doubt anymore, no room for excuses. My son had forged my signature to sell my home. I called Harold immediately, the attorney who helped me set up my living trust months ago. Harold, my son, signed a sales contract. He forged my name. He was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Do you still have the trust documents?" "Yes." "Good. First, do not panic. Second, sign absolutely nothing. Third, we do not confront Ethan yet. We talk to the title company first. In America, the title company is the neutral party that reviews all legal paperwork and confirms ownership before a property can be sold." Harold scheduled a meeting for the same afternoon. We sat together in his office, dialed into a video call with Mark the agent and a representative from the title company. Harold didn't waste time. He asked, "Who verified this signature?" The title officer said, "Her son brought in the paperwork. He said his mother was elderly and couldn't come in herself." Harold placed the trust folder on the table, calm, firm. This property was transferred into the Parker Living Trust 6 months ago. The owner is no longer Margaret Collins as an individual. The trust owns the home. Ethan is not a trustee. He has no legal authority to sell. Silence filled the entire call. The agent's face went stiff. "So, the contract is invalid?" Harold nodded. "Not only invalid, it shows signs of fraud and forgery." My hands turned cold. Fraud. Forgery. Those words don't belong in family problems. They belong in criminal cases. The call ended. Harold turned to me. "Now comes the hardest part. You will need to face your son. But this time, the law is on your side." That night, Ethan came to my house without warning. He walked in with a stack of papers in his hand. "Mom, we need to talk. I found a buyer. They're offering a really good price. You just need to sign here." I looked at him, and in that moment I knew this was the turning point. Either I let myself become a victim, or I finally stand up, even if it means standing against the very son I brought into this world. Ethan stood in my kitchen doorway, holding that stack of papers, as if he were asking me to sign a permission slip, not the paperwork that would erase the only home I have ever owned. He took a breath, trying to sound calm. "Mom, please don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Just sign it. You'll have a new place. We'll help you move. You just need to cooperate a little." I stared at him, long enough that he shifted uncomfortably. This was the same boy I once held through fevers, the boy I taught to ride a bike, the boy I drove to school every morning. Now he spoke to me like a salesman pushing a bad contract. I asked quietly, "Ethan, why would you do this?" He licked his lips and looked away. "You just don't understand, Mom. You're old. You don't know how brutal the market is now. I'm drowning in debt. If you don't help me, who will? I gripped the arm of my chair. You could have asked, you could have talked to me, but instead, you sold my house behind my back? Ethan's brows pulled together. His voice rose. I didn't have a choice. You refused to sell. I owe $45,000 on student loans, $18,000 on credit cards, and Madison's car is about to get repossessed. My chest tightened. But those are your responsibilities, Ethan. Why should I pay the price? He slammed the contract onto the table, losing all courtesy. Because you're my mother. That's your responsibility. I stood up slowly. My responsibility is to let you sell every last thing I own? He huffed with frustration. You don't get it. This house is worth almost $900,000. This is my chance. Our chance. I'm your only son. I looked at him. Carefully. Quietly. Painfully. Then I said, Ethan, you don't need your mother. You need money. He froze. A terrifying silence stretched between us. Then he whispered cold, sharp, fine. If you don't sign, I'll be sued for breaking the contract. The buyers will come after me. I'll go bankrupt, and it'll be your fault. I straightened my back. My hands trembled, but my voice did not. My fault? Or yours for forging my signature and selling something that doesn't belong to you? Ethan's face went white. He stuttered. You have no proof. I left the room for a moment, returned with a folder, and placed it firmly on the table. This is the Parker Living Trust. My home belongs to the trust. I am the sole trustee. You have no authority to sell, no authority to sign, no authority to make decisions for me. Ethan stared at the papers as if they were ticking explosives. His voice cracked. Trust? When did you do this? The day you first told me I should think about selling the house. That was when I realized something was wrong. His face drained of color, and I wasn't done. And the contract you claimed I signed is forged. My attorney has reviewed it. The evidence has already been submitted to the title company. Ethan exploded. Are you trying to put me in jail? I looked him straight in the eyes. Not angry, not shouting, just heartbroken. No, Ethan, but I won't let you turn me into a victim. He stepped back, panic flooding his eyes. Mom, you can't do this. I'm your son, I whispered. Then why didn't you remember I was your mother when you sold my home behind my back? He said nothing, just stood there, pale, shaking, lost. And in that moment, I finally understood. The boy I raised was gone, replaced by someone consumed by greed. And what was coming next, he absolutely wasn't prepared for. Closing day, the final step in selling a house, was held at Riverstone Title Company in downtown Portland. Harold insisted I attend. We're not just stopping the sale, he said. We're letting them see the truth. Right in front of Ethan. I arrived 10 minutes early. The conference room was polished and quiet. A long wooden table, glass bottles of water, landscape paintings meant to soften the tension of million-dollar transactions. The buyers, a young couple, were already seated. The wife smiled nervously. We weren't sure you'd come. I gave a small smile. I'm here to clarify something. 1 minute later, Ethan walked in. Sweaty, hands shaking, Madison right behind him, her face tight, sharp, irritated. When Ethan saw me, he froze. Mom, what are you doing here? I came to hear what you plan to tell everyone. Harold sat beside me, opening his briefcase. Madison leaned into Ethan's ear, whispering harshly, You told me Shed sign. Why is she here? I heard it clearly. She. Not Mom. Just she. They still thought I was the helpless old woman who could be pushed aside. Not anymore. The title officer began. Before we proceed with the signing, we need to confirm Harold raised a hand. Before anyone signs, we have an important announcement. The room fell silent. Harold placed the Parker Living Trust on the table. The home at Mortchumheimuiba Maple Street has been owned by the Parker Living Trust for 6 months. The only person with authority to sell is Mrs. Margaret Collins. Ethan jumped up. No, that's not true. Someone tricked my mom into signing that. Harold didn't flinch. She signed the trust in my office, fully aware, with 2 witnesses, under video recording. Dead silence. Madison's eyes darted wildly. A trapped fox. The buyers looked confused. The title officer leaned forward. So, the house cannot be sold? Harold nodded. Correct. And the sales contract with Mrs. Collins' signature is a forged document. The buyers gasped. The husband stood up. We spent money on inspections, appraisals. This is outrageous. Harold replied, your deposit will be refunded. The fault is not yours. Madison hissed at Ethan, you've ruined both of us. Ethan turned to me, voice breaking. Mom, you can't do this. You're destroying my life. I stood, looked him directly in the eyes, my voice steady, sharp enough to cut glass. No, Ethan. I didn't destroy anything. I simply protected my home. He shook uncontrollably, tears spilling. I was just trying to help my family. I thought you wouldn't need the house much longer. That sentence cut me open. No one in that room breathed. I answered softly, so you wanted me gone to make the sale easier? Ethan collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I don't know anymore. I was under pressure. Harold said to the title officer, we will not press criminal charges as long as Ethan stops all attempts to interfere with Mrs. Collins' home. The officer exhaled. Then this closing is canceled. Madison walked out, didn't touch her husband, didn't comfort him. She simply left him behind, like an old pair of shoes she no longer wanted. I watched her go. No anger, no vengeance, just acceptance. Their plan had collapsed, and with it my family. I walked out of the conference room without looking back. I didn't need to. I had already seen enough. The closing ended like an explosion, not a house fire, a fire in my trust. I walked out of the title company building. The late afternoon sun was on my face, but I still felt cold. Harold walked beside me, slow and steady. You did the right thing, he said. Not every mother has the courage to do what you did. I gave a tired, hollow smile. Is it really right? When doing the right thing means protecting your home from your own son? Harold looked at me over his glasses. Yes, because you didn't just protect your house. You protected your dignity. I nodded, but my heart was heavy. Some truths are right, and still hurt. That night, the house felt unusually quiet, too quiet. I made myself a cup of tea, but the moment it touched my tongue, it tasted bitter. I walked slowly from room to room, feeling like someone who had lost something but didn't know exactly what. Every corner of the house carried a piece of Ethan as a child. The scratch on the staircase where he slid down on his stomach. The pencil marks on the wall where I measured his height every birthday. The dent in the fridge door from the time he kicked it during his teenage tantrums. I missed that Ethan. Not the man in the title office earlier crying, yet still blaming me for ruining his life. I was standing at the sink when I heard a knock at the door. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Exactly like the night he showed up with that stack of papers. I took a deep breath, opened the door. Ethan was there. No Madison, no crisp shirt, no tie, No confident look of a man handling important business. He was in an old hoodie, messy hair, red eyes, his whole body radiating exhaustion. "Mom, can I come in?" I stepped aside. "Come in." He walked straight to the kitchen, to the same chair had always sat in since he was little. But this time, he didn't open a cabinet. He didn't pour himself a drink. He just sat, curled in on himself like a 10-year-old boy who'd failed a test. I sat across from him. Silence. Finally, he spoke. "I'm sorry." I didn't answer. I waited. "I know. I went too far. I shouldn't have forged your signature. I shouldn't have kept the sale from you." Part of me wanted to believe him. The part that still loved this grown man who used to fit in my arms. But another part of me was ice cold. I asked, "Ethan, tell me honestly, when you signed that contract, did you ever think about where I would live if this house was sold?" He went silent, very silent. Then he whispered, I thought you could live with us." I let out a bitter little laugh. "Where? On the couch? On the pull-out in the living room? Or in that tiny storage room behind the kitchen?" He looked up quickly. "No! I would clear out a room for you." Madison agreed. I cut him off. "Madison agreed because you were about to have $900,000 in your hands." He gave a weak, embarrassed smile. "You always think the worst of Madison." "No," I said, looking straight into his eyes. "What I resent is you letting someone else decide how much your mother is worth." He turned away. I continued, "Ethan, you thought I was stupid and weak. You assumed I'd be scared, sign anything you put in front of me. But you forgot one thing." He swallowed. "What?" "I fought my entire life to have this house. Did you really think I would let it go that easily?" His eyes filled with tears. This wasn't the loud sobbing from the conference room. This was quieter tears sliding down his face that he didn't bother to wipe away. "Mom, I'm under so much pressure. Work, debt. Madison keeps saying that if we sell your house, we can finally start over, buy a townhouse, invest, pay everything off. I thought, if you could just sacrifice a little." I frowned. "Sacrifice? You call me losing my home? Sacrificing a little?" He buried his face in his hands. I know I was wrong. I paused, then asked the question I'd been afraid to ask. "Ethan, if you hadn't been caught today, would you have told me? Ever?" The fridge hummed in the background. A car passed outside. He stayed silent for a long time. Then he shook his head. "Probably not." My heart tightened. Not because I was surprised. I already knew. But hearing my son admit it hurt in a way I can't explain. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the maple tree David had planted years ago. "Ethan, do you know what scares me the most?" He whispered. "Losing the house?" I shook my head. "No, I'm scared I've already lost you." He didn't speak for a long time. Then he came to stand behind me. "Mom, can you give me another chance?" I turned to him. "Another chance for what? To try selling the house again? Or to learn how to be my son all over again?" He swallowed hard. "I want to be your son again." I looked deep into his eyes. I didn't just see greed there. I saw fear of failure, shame for not being man enough to provide, the bitterness of comparing himself to more successful friends, the fragile, exhausted man hiding under the provider mask. I sighed. "Forgiving you isn't the hard part, Ethan. Trusting you again, that's the hard part." He nodded. "I'll do whatever it takes for you to trust me again." I went back to the table, pulled out a piece of paper, and wrote 3 lines. Moat. You will not touch anything related to the house again. DSAO. You will not borrow money from me anymore. Bah. If you visit me, it's to see me, not to talk about property or inheritance. I handed it to him. This is the starting point. He read it. His lips trembled. I agree. I gave a sad little smile. From today on, you're an intern in the position of son. You have to train from the beginning. He laughed through his tears. That night, he left the house looking lighter, unburdened. But I didn't feel lighter, because I knew one thing. Once a child has crossed the line for money, trust will never go back to what it once was. I had to do something. Not just for now, for the future. 2 days later, Harold called. Margaret, we're all clear with the title company. The contract is officially canceled. But there's one more thing you should think about. I was in the yard watering my flowers, hands covered in soil, phone tucked between my shoulder and ear. What now? Your will. Are you sure you still want everything to go to Ethan? That question dropped into my mind like a stone into a still pond. I fell quiet. All these years, no matter what Ethan did, somewhere in the back of my mind, I always assumed, Hez my son. One day, this house will be his. But now, he forged my signature. He planned to push me out without asking. He only apologized after being caught. I took a deep breath. What do you think, Harold? He didn't answer right away. I can't tell you what to do. But I've seen a lot of cases. Older people convince themselves that blood is everything and end up thrown out by that very blood. I was silent a little longer. Then I said, all right, I'll come to your office. Harold's office is on the 10th floor of a glass building, overlooking the river. The windows are so clean, I could see my reflection clearly. Gray hair, lines around my eyes, and yet a gaze sharper than most people give me credit for. Harold opened his laptop, pulled up the trust document. Right now, Ethan is still listed as the primary beneficiary. If you pass away, he receives 100% of the home and assets. I stared at my son's name. Just a few letters on a screen, but behind them, an entire lifetime of sacrifice. Can I change that? Of course. You have full control. I thought of Ethan crying in my kitchen. Of his "I'm sorry, I was under pressure." Of the forged signature. Of the contract I never signed. Of this truth, if I died today, he would inherit the house without ever paying the price for what he tried to do. And then I thought about Lena. Who is Lena? Lena is my neighbor, 35, divorced, a single mother to a 6-year-old girl named Chloe. She rents a small apartment 3 blocks away, works night shifts as a nurse at the hospital. Many times when her shifts run over, she drops Chloe off at my house. Chloe has called me Grandma Maggie since she was 3. Lena has never asked me for money, ever. If anything, she brings me food. I made too much. Please take some, so it doesn't go to waste. The night I fell in the garden, Lena was the one who found me, called Chin Chamui Mort, and sat with me in the ER until 3 in the morning. In the days when Ethan wasn't there, they were my family. Harold watched me. Margaret, who do you really want to leave your home to? I answered slowly. Harold, if I decide not to leave 100% to Ethan, does that make me cruel? He shook his head. Mercy doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Fairness is not the same thing as cruelty. I looked out the window. The river flowed quietly, unbothered by human drama. A question floated clearly through my mind. Who loves me for who I am, and who is just waiting for me to die so they can take the house? I turned back to Harold, my voice steadier than I expected. I want to divide it. I don't want Ethan to have 100% anymore. Harold nodded. What kind of split are you thinking? I thought for a moment. 50% for Ethan, 50% for Lena. But with one condition. Ethan only receives his share if, before I die, he has not committed fraud or any crime involving my assets. Harold smiled. Conditional inheritance. I like the way you think. I exhaled slowly. It felt like lowering a heavy stone from my chest. That night, I didn't tell Ethan. I knew that if I told him now, he would scream that I was being unfair, blame Lena, or start acting perfect just to win his way back into my will. No, this decision wasn't about punishing him. It was about protecting my future and the future of those who treat me like a person, not a wallet. That evening, Lena came by with a pot of chicken soup. I made too much. Please help me finish it so I don't have to eat it all week. Chloe ran inside and hugged my legs. Grandma Maggie, I drew something for you. She handed me a messy little drawing, a house with a red roof, a green tree, and a gray-haired lady standing at the front door. Chloe pointed at each shape. This is your house. This is you. And this is me coming to visit you. My heart ached and warmed at the same time. Because I realized a house is not just where you sleep. It's the place someone wants to come back to. And if one day I'm no longer here, I want this house to belong to someone who understands that, not to someone who only sees how much it can sell for. 3 days after my meeting with Harold, I was making myself a sandwich in the kitchen when I heard the screech of brakes outside. I wiped my hands and went to the door. Ethan. He jumped out of the car like head just escaped a fire, face pale, fist clenched around a crumpled stack of papers. It was the updated trust notice Harold's office had mailed him, required by law to inform beneficiaries. The moment he saw me, he yelled, "What the hell did you do, Mom?" Neighbors turned to look. I swallowed my humiliation. "Ethan, come inside." But he didn't. He threw the papers at me. They scattered across the porch like snow. 50%. You're only leaving me 50%? And the other 50 goes to who? Lena. To a stranger? Have you lost your mind? I took a breath. Ethan, I already explained. No. You did not explain anything. You're punishing me for one mistake. And I'm your son. I kept my voice steady. This isn't punishment. It's manipulation. Julia was right. You let Lena control you. I froze. Julia said that? Ethan gave a bitter little laugh, shaking from anger. She said, Lena's been trying to replace you. That she's wanted this house for a long time. That she's been pretending to care just so you'll leave her your assets. I stayed quiet. Not because I believed it, but because something felt off. Julia had never talked to me about Lena. She hardly came around me at all. Why would she suddenly bring Lena up like that? Ethan saw my silence and pushed harder. I knew it. You're being manipulated. Lena is clearly... He stopped. His words cut off mid-sentence, like someone had grabbed his throat. I followed his gaze. He wasn't looking at anything. Not at the yard, not at the street. He was looking into his own thoughts. Something had just clicked. I asked, Ethan, what is it? He shook his head quickly. Nothing. It's nothing. But his eyes betrayed him. This wasn't nothing. This was the face of a man who just bumped into a truth had been avoiding for a long time. I spoke slowly. Ethan, when did Julia say these things to you? Silence. How did she say it? Nothing. How many times has she mentioned Lena's name? Ethan looked away. And for the first time in ba years of being his mother, I saw my son look genuinely afraid, not of me, afraid of a thought that had just crawled out from the dark into the light. I stepped closer. "Ethan, what are you hiding?" He flinched back. "Nothing. I'm just mad you chose a stranger over your own son." His voice was shaky, his anger unstable. I looked straight into his eyes. "Ethan, Julia is the one who pushed you to sell this house, isn't she?" He held his breath. I went on. "And deep down, you know she didn't do that out of love." His fists clenched so tight, his knuckles turned white. Then he blurted out, I don't know anymore." But he did. Of course he did. A child might not know, but a grown man whose marriage is collapsing, he knows. He just doesn't want to say it out loud. I softened my voice. "That night, when you and Julia were fighting, I heard you. What were you arguing about?" Ethan's face drained of color. "You heard, not clearly, but enough to know it was serious." He turned away, eyes red. "Julia said, if we didn't sell your house, we'd never get out of debt. She told me I needed to man up. That to save my family. I had to be willing to sacrifice my mom." A chill ran through me. "Ethan, your wife asked you to sacrifice your mother?" He shouted. "I didn't want to. But she said, if I couldn't provide for her, she'd have to find a man who could." I froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. Ethan had just revealed something huge without even realizing it. That is not something every wife says. That is something a wife says when... I asked very quietly, "Ethan, Julia has someone else, doesn't she?" He jolted. I pressed again. Lower. Heavier. "Did she threaten to leave you for another man if you didn't sell my house?" Ethan covered his face. Didn't answer. But the answer was already there. I could read it in the way his shoulders shook. I took a breath that hurt all the way down. "Ethan, you weren't being bold and brave for your family. You were being pushed. Used. Not to save your marriage, but so she and somebody else could have money." He started breathing fast, on the edge of a panic attack. No, that's not true. Julia loves me. She's just stressed." I looked at my son, my heart torn between hurt, anger, and pity. "Ethan, if Julia truly loved you, she would never ask you to lie to your own mother, forge my name, and sacrifice me. And she sure wouldn't push you into becoming the man who tried to sell his own mother's home." He sank down on the porch step, hands gripping his hair. "Mom, I'm scared. I'm scared that if I admit it, everything will fall apart." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Not admitting it is what makes everything fall apart, son." Ethan left that day shaken to his core. Not because of me, because of the doubt that had finally grown too big to ignore. And I knew this was only the beginning. The truth always finds a way to the surface, and it was about to rise very, very fast. That afternoon, I walked over to Lennis with a plate of still warm cookies. I only planned to stay 5 minutes. I wasn't expecting Ethan to already be there waiting on her front porch. His face was a storm: anger, shame, confusion, all tangled up. Lena opened the door. Chloe was inside, coloring quietly. The air had been peaceful, until Ethan burst like a hurricane. "What did you do to my mother?" Lena froze. "Ethan, what are you talking about? If it wasn't for you, my mother would have never changed her will." Lena didn't yell back. She didn't get defensive. She just looked at him with tired, sad eyes. You really think I have that kind of control over your mother? You're underestimating her. Ethan's jaw tightened. You wanted her house. You pretended to be nice just to be mated. I stepped forward. Ethan, do not attack someone who has done nothing but good to us. But he was too worked up. She's replacing you. She's stealing my only mother and taking her house. Lena let out a small, bitter laugh. The kind of laugh people make when they're too hurt to cry. Ethan, I don't have a house. I rent a tiny apartment and work 12-hour shifts to raise my daughter. Where exactly is this house I supposedly took? Ethan swallowed. But pride is a stubborn thing. Then why is she giving you 50%? Why not me? I am her son. Lena looked at me. I nodded slightly. She turned back to Ethan. Her voice was gentle, but every word held weight. You really want the truth? Ethan's breathing quickened. Yes, I want it. Lena went inside, pulled out a thick envelope from a drawer, and handed it to him. This is why. Ethan snatched it, tore it open, and I watched his face go completely blank. Inside the envelope were photos of Julia wrapped in another man's arms, a brown-haired man in a button-down shirt from an IT company, screenshots of messages between Julia and that man. Once Ethan sells his mom's house, we split it samui. Are you sure he'll go through with it? He's terrified of losing me. He'll sign anything. You deserve a better life with a guy who actually provides. A Muihai second video of Julia walking out of a hotel with him, caught on the hotel's front camera. Bank statements from Julia's account, showing repeated transfers to that man's account. Ethan's legs gave out. He dropped onto Lena's front step like someone had cut his strings. No, Julia wouldn't. Lena spoke softly. I didn't stalk your wife. Someone sent all of this to me. Ethan's voice cracked. Who? An anonymous person, Lena replied. They said if no one showed you the truth, you'd lose everything, including your mother. Ethan turned to me, searching my face. I shook my head. It wasn't me. Lena continued. And there's one more thing. She pulled out a final piece of paper. It was the sales contract for my house, the same one Ethan had signed. But on the back page were extra signatures, Julius and the other man's, scribbled where Ethan never thought to look. In the margin, someone had written, Ethan thinks this is just between him and his mom. Good. Once the money clears, we're done here. Ethan stared at the paper like it was a knife in his chest. They used me. I was just a puppet. Lena nodded. They didn't just use you. They counted on you, never realizing it. Ethan broke. Why didn't you tell me sooner, Mom? I stepped closer and laid a hand on his shoulder. Because I needed you to see it yourself, not because I forced you to. He buried his face in his knees. I had never seen him so small, so utterly broken. Lena added quietly, Ethan, you're not a bad person, but you loved the wrong one, and you let the wrong person lead you down the worst road possible. Ethan shook with sobs. I ruined everything. I betrayed my own mother for someone who was betraying me. I wiped his tears like he was a little boy again. You haven't lost everything. You only lose for good when you stop trying to make things right. He sobbed harder, voice cracking. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Lena quietly stepped back inside, leaving the porch to just me and my son. The evening wind rustled the maple leaves, and I knew this wasn't the end. The real battle was still ahead, fully dismantling the scheme, facing Julia and her lover head on, and making my final decision about who would inherit my home. Ethan sat on Lena's front steps for almost 20 minutes. He didn't speak. He just shook sometimes, breaking into silent sobs, sometimes staring into nothing, like his mind was tearing itself apart piece by piece. I sat beside him. No talking, no blaming, no comforting. Sometimes a man can only truly grow in the silence of what he has destroyed himself. Eventually, Ethan stood up. His voice was hoarse. I need to talk to Julia. I nodded. Are you ready? He stared down at his trembling hands. No, but if I don't do it now, I'll never have the courage to do it. That night, Ethan called Julia and told her to come home. I didn't want to go with him, but he held my hand. Mom, I want you there. I want to do this once and finish it. I understood. Julia had controlled his emotions for so long. If he faced her alone, he might collapse again. Julia came home at 10:17 pass. I remember the exact minute. It was one of those moments where time stretches itself out. She walked in with the same icy beauty, the same expensive perfume, the same sharp eyes scanning the room like she was always measuring, calculating. She saw me and smirked. Oh, you're here too? Ethan, has your mother been filling your head again? Ethan didn't react. He simply closed the door and turned the lock. Julia raised an eyebrow. Locking the door? What is this, some kind of drama? Ethan's voice was strangely calm. We need to talk. Julia crossed her arms. Then talk. Xin chào. Tôi rất vui được hỗ trợ bạn với các dịch vụ giọng nói của chúng tôi. Hãy chọn một giọng nói phù hợp với bạn và cùng bắt đầu hành trình âm thanh sáng tạo của chúng ta. He threw one of the photos on the table, Julia in another man's arms. Her lips trembled. Ethan, you have to understand, I just wanted a better life. He cut in. By selling the only house of the woman who raised me alone for 33 years? Julia swallowed. What has she really done for us, huh? Look at you, Ethan. You can't even pay our bills. You're a man who can't provide. You think I want to live in debt forever? Ethan went pale. Julia wasn't even trying to hide anymore. She went on, voice sharp and bitter. You think I enjoy that little apartment? You think I like wearing clearance rack clothes while your mother sits on a gold mine? I took a deep breath. My house is not a gold mine. Julia snapped her head toward me. You are the problem. You hoard everything. You're selfish. You hold us back. I stood. You're wrong, Julia. I'm not what's holding you back. Your greed is what's dragging my son down. She laughed harshly. Oh, now you're giving me a morality lecture? You think Ethan is some innocent angel? If it weren't for me, he never would have had the guts to sell your house. Ethan flinched like Shed stabbed him. So you admit it. You pushed me. Julia looked at him with cold, metallic eyes. You didn't push anyone. You just did what you always do, follow. The air turned heavy. Ethan collapsed into a chair. Julia looked between us and scoffed. If you don't sign, I swear, I'll make sure Ethan walks out of your life forever. I answered, You don't get it, Julia. Ethan already started leaving you the moment he saw the truth. Julia glared at him. You're going to divorce me? You're going to leave me because your mommy doesn't like me? Ethan didn't look up, but his voice was solid. I'm divorcing you because you cheated, because you used me, because you tried to turn me into the man who sold his own mother's house. Julia's face went white. Ethan. He took a breath. I'm filing, and you will not touch a single cent of my mother's money. Julia screamed, You will regret this. She grabbed her purse, yanked the door open, and stormed out like someone exposed in broad daylight. The door slammed behind her. Silence. Ethan cried. I stood behind him, rested my hand on his shoulder. I'm not happy Julia is gone, I said quietly. I'm just relieved that you finally see clearly. 2 months later, early autumn. Maple leaves covered the walkway like gold. I was sitting on the porch in my wooden chair, wrapped in a light shawl, sipping tea, when Ethan walked into the yard. He looked different. Thinner. Older, but in a good way, like he'd finally been forced to grow up. Hey Mom, I'm here. I smiled. You want some apple pie? Yeah. I'd like that. I cut him a slice. He ate slowly, then said, Mom, I filed for divorce. I moved into a small apartment closer to work. I've paid off my credit card debt. I started seeing a therapist. And I want to apologize again. I asked softly, for trying to sell the house? He shook his head. No, for letting someone else control me so much that I hurt the one person who's always loved me without conditions. I took his hand. You started making things right. I've seen that. His eyes turned red. I don't expect you to change the will back. I don't deserve that. But I promise, I'm going to live in a way that you won't be ashamed of me anymore. I set my teacup down. Ethan. He looked up. Do you know why I gave Lena 50%? He shook his head. I smiled faintly. Because Lena is a good person. She helps me without ever asking for anything. She was there for me on days when you didn't see me at all. Ethan lowered his gaze. I know. I squeezed his hand. But the other 50% is yours. Not because you're my blood, but because you finally learned the most important thing. He blinked. What's that? Love isn't a right. It's a responsibility. He broke into tears and hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Mom, thank you. I'll never let you down again. I patted his back. Well, see it in your actions, not your words. But I do believe you're on the right path. That afternoon, Lena came by. Chloe ran in and hugged me. Grandma Maggie, I drew you another house. Lena laughed, carrying a pan of baked chicken. Ethan looked at Lena and bowed his head slightly. Thank you for showing me the truth. Lena smiled. You saw it yourself. I just passed along what needed to be seen. No anger, no judgment. That's why I chose her. We spent the rest of the afternoon eating, talking, watching Chloe run around the yard as the maple leaves fell around her. And in that moment, I realized, family isn't just blood. Family is who stays when everything else falls apart. That night, I took the new trust document from my drawer. I read it one more time. Ethan Collins, Namur for cent. Lena Roberts, Namur for cent. I smiled, folded it carefully, and placed it back in the safe. Life doesn't demand that we choose family the traditional way. I get to choose mine. I chose the ones who showed up, not just the ones who shared my DNA. And for the first time in many, many years, I felt as light as the maple leaves drifting down outside. I never truly lost my son. I only lost the worst version of him. And somehow, I found my way back to the boy I raised for 33 years. The end.